Hi guys, so this video is for our senior FLDs, program directors, and any department directors or assistant department directors that would have the responsibility of adjusting or monitoring staff access within iCM. So I just kind of want to give you a brief refresher of how to do this and sort of the things that we don't want to do when we're adjusting staff access to prevent some of the issues that we're seeing where people are assigned to places where they should not have that level of access. So I just kind of want to give you a brief overview of this. So if you go into the staff icon, and I just pulled up Abraham Lincoln so that way you don't see, all the staff that comes up because that's one of our test guys. But for the staff person that you want to adjust their assignments for, you would go into their profile and then you would click on assigned people. And this, what comes up for you is a list of all of the programs or sites, homes, whatever that may be, that this person is currently assigned to or that they have been assigned to in the past. And this would be, like this person was at the Irish home, so they don't currently have access to the Irish home. This is 0 out of 4. But at the Lincoln Drive home, they have access to, all the residents. They have full access to Lincoln Drive. So they're going to be able to see all of those folks, in the care tracker, in EMAR, maintenance requests, all of our modules that we have live right now. This particular staff person is going to be able to see everybody at Lincoln Drive. So I just kind of want to go over sort of what you see here. If there are any programs or sites that are showing with this, they're not assigned to anybody there currently, and you just want them removed from their list totally, you can reach out to me. I would be happy to permanently kind of delete that off of their list. That's totally, that's totally up to you. And I can kind of narrow their list that way. But I do kind of want to show you, how you would assign somebody to a certain site. So in this case, I'm going to go to this orange Add Sites button. We will never go to assign all programs. I honestly can't think of any DSP that you guys would oversee that you would ever click assign all programs. So we want to always go to this orange Add Sites, and then anywhere you see, a little plus button, you can just keep clicking. Now, Thomas Jefferson, who's one of my test program directors in here, he only has access to Anne Arundel County. So if you have access to both of our counties, you'll see, Carroll County under Anne Arundel County. But in this case, this person just sees Anne Arundel, and you're just going to keep clicking on the plus signs to open this up. So you never want to click on this and say to add this person to all residential, because that's going to add them to every single home that we have and give them full access to all of our folks, which is something that we do not want to do unless they are sort of what I would consider top management, like our senior FLDs, program directors, department directors. They should never be assigned to all of our homes. So you always want to click on that little plus sign so that it expands. That way you can pick a specific house. And this person I know is assigned, already to a few homes. So I'm going to pick one and see if I can do it. Yeah. So if they were already assigned to the home, so let me see, I have Irish. If you click on this, it'll come up here and say it's already assigned. And that just means that that house is already in this person's list. Was it this one I did? There we go. So once you add them there, they're fully added. If you were adding to any kind of, large program like personal supports or, supportive employment, meaningful day, anything like that, where, there's numerous people that we serve under that program, they obviously shouldn't have access to all 108 people. There's no way that a DSP is trained to work with 108 people. So if that's the case, I'll just show it with this home because it's the same process. If you only wanted staff to have access to, the one person that they're working with at the time, you can do that. You can just go ahead and click this top check box and say unassign. And that's how you unassign from an entire house as well. And now it's 0 out of 4. So you click on that again, and you can just go in and individually assign. So again, if this was something like personal supports or meaningful day, and you only wanted them to have access to one person, or a group, maybe it's, 2 people, 3 people, whatever that may be, this is how you would do that. You would just say, I just want to assign that one person. Okay. And now you can see when it comes to this, they're assigned to 1 out of 4. So they're only going to have access to 1 out of 4 people in there. Okay. And then again, if you wanted to unassign them totally, you would do that. If a house or a program site, whatever it may be, is already on a person's list and they have, 0 out of 4, 0 out of, 108, and you wanted them to have access again to that site or program. If it's a home, normally, yes, they want access to the whole home. So you can just say assign all. And now they have access to the whole home. They have 4 out of 4. Okay. If down here, say, it's 0 out of 108, if you want them to have access to a certain person, you would just say, I just want this person to have access to Daisy Duck. And now that person has access to 1 out of 108 people. Okay. So we definitely want to make sure that we are not, assigning to all programs, and we're not assigning to, large groups like all of Anne Arundel County. We don't want to do that. If you can narrow it down, that is exactly what we want, because otherwise they have way too much access. The other thing that I want to show you is this reassigned option. This is our on-call feature. So if somebody is filling in, and it's not a permanent location, because the only homes that we should see, I mean, obviously this is just a test guy, so he sees a lot. But, most of our staff, in terms of how many people they should see, when it comes to homes, they should not have permanent access to more than like 5 homes at most. And that's a lot. Because again, if they're permanently assigned to a home or to a program, they have to be fully trained to work with all of those people in services at all times, because eventually all of that person's specific training is going to be pushed through iCare Manager. So if they are permanently assigned to, so say this was a real staff person, this is a whole lot of people that this person is currently assigned to. It's just an unmanageable caseload for a DSP to be able to keep up with all of those person-specific trainings that are eventually going to be pushed through iCM. So just think of it in terms, every time a plan of care gets updated, a staff person needs to get trained on it. Every time a PCP is updated, that staff person needs to get trained. Anytime something changes with any kind of nursing delegated functions, that staff person will need to be trained on that as well. Somebody gets a new piece of equipment, they're going to have to, be trained on that new piece of equipment. So in order for a staff person to have a manageable caseload, we do want to make sure that this is kept to a pretty low number in this list of permanently assigned homes. Permanently assigned, I would say they work in that home or with that person at least once a month. In fact, it might even be easier to say that they work with them at least once per pay period. That would be sort of their permanent caseload that they're going to have to keep up with on an ongoing basis. Now, if they just filled in, for one shift or one weekend, and, every now and then they'll kind of jump back to a house or jump in and help with somebody in personal supports or meaningful day, however that may work for that staff person, then we want to use the on-call feature, because then they're not permanently assigned to that home. They're only going to be assigned and have access to that home or that person for whatever time frame you put in here. This is the only tab under reassign that we should be using. We do not want to use covering for, and we do not want to use assigned caseload. These kind of give additional access within iCM. So really the only time that I would even consider using something like assigned caseload would be like if one of our dimensional nurses were covering for another nurse for an extended period of time. Then I would use the assigned caseload so that that nurse had the same access that the other nurse had. The same thing if maybe, a program director went out for an extended period of time and we've reassigned that entire caseload to another program director to oversee. That's really the end, which it usually doesn't happen because typically we'll split it up. But that's really the only time that we would be using assigned caseload. Covering for is a little more complicated than it sounds. I know covering for sounds like oh, well, they're covering somebody's shift, but the way that it works with permissions is a little different. It basically gives whatever staff person you're putting in here the ability to have the exact same permission set and be able to see everything that they're covering for. So if you say, you know, Trisha Timmons is covering for, you know, Thomas Jefferson, if I was only covering, you know, one house or one person, one shift for this person, well, I shouldn't be able to see, you know, everything that this person has access to, because I should only have access to that one program or that one person. So we really want to stay away the covering for and assigned caseload tabs, because it really doesn't make sense for us at Bella McCree, except in, you know, certain specific circumstances. So the on-call would be if I'm sort of jumping in and covering in for a shift. Maybe I've covered the awake overnight shift for somebody. This is for homes that I do not regularly work at. So maybe I work at, you know, this home every now and then, like every few months or something, I come in and I'm kind of a backup person for this house. This is what you want to use for those kinds of staff. So these are DSPs that don't normally work in these homes. This is not, you know, a permanent home for them. This is not something that they work in every single month. It's just every now and then. So if you go to add, it kind of comes up with the same, you know, menu that you get when you're in the assigned tab. So you just want to pick the house. Sorry, I had to make sure that it was a house I could actually pick. I forgot who this person is assigned to. So you want to pick the house, or again, you could pick the program, however, you know, you want to do that. And then you want to select a fixed schedule, okay? And this will give them access. So maybe this person is covering for you, you know, over the weekend. So I want to give this person access from Friday at 12 until, we'll say, Monday morning, because they're going to work through the weekend for us. Actually, yeah. Take them to 8. Okay. And then the system will automatically grant them access from Friday, and it will automatically sort of close out their access Monday morning at 8 a.m. So it's not anything that you have to remember to go back in and change their access for. So if you just click save, now we have, you know, we have a fixed schedule for this person, and iCM will automatically do that for us. So instead of using this sort of permanently assigned and then trying to remember, hey, I gave so-and-so access to this house or this program, and, you know, they don't need access to it anymore, then I have to go in here and remove their access. So if you're using the reassign under on-call, you can set their schedule, okay? That's, you know, again, we don't want to use covering for or assigned caseload. And you don't want to permanently assign somebody to a home that they are not going to be permanently working in if they're just covering, you know, a shift or covering a weekend or something like that. Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to go over with you. Again, please stay away from this assign all programs. And when you're adding sites, please refrain from, you know, clicking all of Anne Arundel County or all of Bella McCree, because you can add somebody to all of Bella McCree. You can add somebody to all the entire county. And you can add somebody to, you know, the entire residential program. There are only certain admin staff that should have that level of access. So we want to make sure that we are not doing that when we are adjusting assignments for our DSPs within iCM, because that gives them access to homes and to people that they should not have access for. And technically that is a HIPAA violation. So we definitely want to make sure that when we're using, you know, we're assigning folks under the assignment tab, that we are, you know, correctly assigning them only to the people that they should have access for, and only for the time period that they should have access for. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would be happy to help you. Thanks.